Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I'm not quite myself anymore? And then, not in a bad way, just different. Maybe you've caught yourself saying something odd out loud while no one was around, or noticed a new little habit you never had before. You're not alone. Aging brings with it a quiet shift in how we behave. Some changes are physical, sure, but others sneak up in ways we don't always expect. You might suddenly become more forgetful, talk to yourself more, or even start craving routines that used to bore you. And here's the thing, no one really tells you these changes are coming. That's what we're going to talk about today. In this video, we're going to gently uncover 11 strange, but totally normal, behaviors that many people begin to experience after turning 70. And no, these behaviors don't mean you're losing it. Most of them are just part of how the mind and body evolve with age. Once you understand them, they can even become powerful tools for improving your health, your relationships, and your peace of mind. So, let's talk about what's really going on beneath the surface, and why you might find yourself doing things you never expected. Let's start with something you might already be familiar with: talking to yourself more often. Maybe you're standing in the kitchen saying, "Now where did I put that spoon?" Or you catch yourself narrating your day like you're the host of a show. It might feel silly, but it's actually not a bad thing at all. In fact, talking to yourself can help you process thoughts, remember things better, and stay mentally sharp. It's like giving your brain a little boost by verbalizing what you're thinking. After 70, the mind sometimes needs a little more reinforcement to keep track of daily tasks, and your voice becomes a powerful anchor. So, if you're having conversations with yourself more often lately, you're not losing it. You're adapting. It's your mind's way of keeping organized. Now, here's another one that might feel oddly familiar: becoming more attached to routines and rituals. You might notice that you start doing things at the same time each day in the same order with the same items. Maybe it's your breakfast, or the way you take your evening walk, or even how you fold your laundry. And if something interrupts that flow, it can throw off your whole day. This tendency isn't just habit, it's comfort. As the world around us changes quickly, having steady routines gives us a sense of control, predictability, and peace. After 70, when life can feel more uncertain, creating structure becomes a source of emotional balance. Of course, we have to talk about memory. It's probably the one change most seniors notice first, but not just forgetting names or where the keys are. One of the more surprising behaviors is repeating stories or asking the same questions, sometimes without realizing it. You might catch yourself halfway through a story and wonder, did I already tell this one? Again, this is more common than you might think. The brain's short-term memory may start to decline, but long-term memory, the stories of your life, stays strong. So the brain naturally pulls from those familiar files. And here's a comforting truth: people love hearing your stories, especially the people who love you, so don't be too hard on yourself if you've told that vacation story once or 5 times this month. Another interesting behavior that might creep in quietly is being more sensitive to noise and stimulation. Have you noticed that loud restaurants feel more overwhelming than they used to, or that crowded spaces are more draining? This isn't you becoming grumpy. As we age, our nervous system becomes more sensitive. Loud environments, chaotic energy, and overstimulation can genuinely feel more exhausting. You might crave quiet, gentle spaces where you can think clearly and breathe deeply. That's not strange at all. It's your body's way of seeking calm and focus. And honoring that need is part of living well in your later years. Let's shift to something a little more emotional: being more sentimental than you used to be. Maybe you find yourself tearing up at commercials or feeling waves of nostalgia just from a familiar song. This emotional richness is part of what makes aging beautiful. With more years behind you, the little things take on deeper meaning. You appreciate people more, you reflect on memories with warmth, and yes, you might cry a little easier. That emotional depth isn't weakness, it's wisdom, and it's part of what makes your connection to others more meaningful than ever. Now, some of these changes might seem small, but they reflect something powerful. Your body and mind are shifting into a new season. Not a lesser season, but a wiser one. A more emotionally aware, more thoughtful version of you is emerging. These behaviors may feel strange at first, but they're natural and in many ways beautiful. There's something freeing about accepting these changes rather than fighting them. When you stop worrying about whether a behavior is weird and start asking, what is this telling me about what I need? That's where the real transformation begins. Whether it's needing quiet, routine, or the joy of retelling your favorite memory, Your behaviors are little messengers. They're guiding you toward comfort, connection, and a rhythm of life that suits where you are now. There's something reassuring about knowing that what you're going through isn't just unique to you. So many people over 70 start to experience changes that feel odd at first, but make perfect sense when you pause and really think about them. And some of these changes, well, they show just how adaptable and quietly resilient we become with age. One of those behaviors is something many seniors begin to do without even noticing: hoarding small, seemingly insignificant items. It might be plastic containers, rubber bands, grocery bags, or even old receipts. You might find drawers filled with buttons you'll probably never use again, or random screws from furniture long gone. On the surface, this might seem like clutter, but underneath it, there's usually a deeper reason. As we get older, we start to value things that feel familiar or useful. It's often less about the object itself and more about the comfort of knowing it's there, just in case. This behavior often ties into a mindset of preservation, of being prepared, of making the most out of what you already have. It reflects a lifetime of resourcefulness. Another shift that happens quietly is becoming more cautious, even in everyday decisions. You might double-check that the stove is off more than once, or feel hesitant before stepping off a curb or getting out of the shower. And while some might view this as overly careful or even nervous behavior, it's really your experience and instincts speaking up. You've lived long enough to know that one small mistake, like a fall, can have bigger consequences now than it did years ago. This heightened caution isn't fear. It's wisdom in action. Your mind is simply doing its best to protect you, to keep you safe. There's strength in that awareness, even if it means moving a little slower or taking an extra moment to check things twice. Another subtle change many people experience is becoming more selective with social interactions. Where you may have once felt energized by big groups and social events, now you might prefer smaller, more meaningful connections. Maybe you've found that you're less interested in small talk and more drawn to conversations that truly matter. Or maybe you've pulled back from people who drain your energy or don't bring joy to your life. That isn't being antisocial, it's being intentional. As you grow older, your time and energy become more precious, and spending it with people who truly lift you up becomes a quiet but powerful act of self-care. This also ties in with a behavior that many don't talk about enough: retreating into more internal reflection. You might find yourself lost in thought more often, remembering moments from the past, replaying conversations, or even just sitting in silence thinking deeply about life. While others may see it as zoning out or daydreaming, this kind of inner reflection is incredibly rich. It's your mind processing your life, your lessons, your regrets, and your joys. It's a way of reviewing the chapters you've lived and making peace with them. Reflection can be a beautiful part of aging. It gives you a sense of clarity and even closure. It helps you understand your journey in a way you couldn't when you were younger and busier. Another behavior that may feel strange but is surprisingly common is fixating on small details. You might become unusually focused on how something is arranged on a shelf, or the way towels are folded, or whether the dishes were put away just so. This isn't about being controlling or difficult. Often, it's about finding control in the little things, especially when bigger parts of life feel harder to manage. Paying attention to small details can bring a sense of order and calm. It's a way of making the world feel a bit more manageable, especially in a time when change and loss can become more common.